Hello, Internet. Hey, how you doing? As you can see, I am as well fed and rested as ever. I hope this finds you doing well. Now, you probably clicked on the title of the video and you're thinking to yourself, lol, what are you doing? You've got so many machines you've got to build already. You've got Mark II, you've got the laser, you've got Mark III, you've got a CNC plasma cutter, you've got at least one 3D printer, you've got a whole bunch of machines you have to build, a dozen projects you have to do, metal melting, the list just keeps going on and on and on. So why on earth have I gone and added a vintage piece of machinery when I haven't been keeping up with all the rest of this stuff either already? Well, this particular vintage piece of machinery belonged to my grandpa. Now, I'm sure you're wondering what the heck. Alright, here's the deal. I love my grandpa to death, which is why I'm not blind to his faults. And one of them is that he's not very consistent with equipment maintenance, shall we say. My father used this lathe when he was doing machine shop things back before I was born, and he claims to have cleaned this lathe before I was born, which I'm 45, and while I don't know for absolute certain, I can be reasonably safe in betting that I don't think Grandpa's cleaned it since. What's probably happened is that it's probably gotten a little oil squirted in places when it, when he needed to do something, and then promptly forgotten about. So there was a lot more chips and stuff inside that chip pan when I got it, and which brings us to what I'm going to do with it. First thing is that we're going to tear this sucker apart. Not all the way, but we're going to take everything off of the bed so that we can clean the whole thing down. Then I'm going to take apart the headstock, get the spindles, the gears, the pulleys, all of that cleaned up, take the change gears off, get all those cleaned up. Then we can begin some upgrades. Okay, this is a Logan Model 200 manual screw turning lathe. As you can see, it's not in the absolute best condition. It's been neglected a little bit. There's some rust in places. I'm sure there's some things that are worn. Okay, as you can see, we've gotten the apron, the carriage, and the tailstock pulled off, as well as the lead screw and some of the change gears. We are going to go ahead and just clean all this up, clean up all those other parts, put it back together in this part. Let's compare. Clean, that's how I got it. This is just a little bit of WD-40 and some elbow grease. There's going to be all kinds of oil that fell into here over the decades. No steel. Nylon. So this is just a quick before and after. There's the color it was when I got it, which is the tailstock, because I haven't cleaned that yet. And then there's the actual blue-gray color of the paint, which I genuinely wasn't sure was still there before I started scrubbing this thing. When I first saw this, I genuinely thought someone had painted it black. And the black was what was fading. That's how much grime was on this machine. So, anyway, this is a Logan Model 200. Serial numbers over there says 22,909. It's no spring chicken, put it that way. Knew that just by the color from a little bit of research, but yeah, that's a pretty low serial number. Yeah. Now, you may have fond memories if you're older, if you're an older vintage than I am, you may have fond memories of these from your high school shop class. If you're younger than me, you're let's say a millennial or younger, you're probably asking yourself, what shop class? Yep, this isn't all the parts, this is just all the parts so far. Haven't even started on them yet. This is a lot of scrubbing to do yet. Okay, Next up, we are going to try to take this chuck off. It's a thread-on chuck. So that kind of leaves me with not a lot of options. The one I'm electing to go with, we're going to try to wedge the spindle in place, chuck up a bit of Headstock, hit it with a wrench, and try to tap it with a mallet and hope it comes out. Tell you a story. My two grandfathers. On one hand, you have a man who, when he was in his 20s, apprenticed at a machine shop back east in Ohio. This is Dell, or should I say Delbert. He used to go by Dell. Dell, he learns the perfect way to do it all. Very demanding shop. And he ended up becoming a tool and die maker, which is sort of a machinist on steroids, if you will. Anyway, Dell was the type of guy who, if he didn't have the right tool, he'd buy it or order it or whatever, and however long it took, that's how long the job would sit until he had the right tool for the right job. He rushed nothing, cobbled nothing together. If he'd have seen this lathe when I first got it, he would have literally refused to use it. Yeah. On the other hand, we have John. John is a machinist by trade and went into the lumber industry, and I got this from him. He is an absolutely genius fabric cobbler. The man can take a pile of junk and turn it into a working machine. I'm not going to say perfectly working. It'll have a few quirks that he knows how to work and get around, but it'll get the job done. Which is part of the reason why this thing is in such a bad shape, because he never needed to keep it up, basically. It did its job. Every now and then it did one little job that it needed to do. So anyway, between the two, I've got Dell and I've got John. And I'm somewhere in the middle, I would like to think. I will never be as precise as Dell, not by a long shot. And I'm not quite the fabric cobbler that John is, but I'm trying. I hope I hope my life honors them. So. Okay, here is the still a little too warm to handle spindle. This locking ring did not want to come off, no matter what I did. I ended up heating it with a torch and Harbor Freight air impact gun for the win. The only thing that could get the sucker off. Honestly, I was going to go ahead and pull this bearing off, but it doesn't want to come off, and I don't actually need it to in order to get at it, so I'm just going to leave it in place and go ahead and get it cleaned out and then re-grease it, get the new bearing shields in there, and go from there. I'm just going to leave it right there. I have a new locking ring coming in the mail, so this thing's scrap. What you're looking at is the original grease from the factory. It's never been changed. Okay, on your right is the original bearing that came with the lathe. Don't know if you can read that. It says new departure on it. And it has this steel dust shield that is impossible to get off without destroying it. On your left, and this was manufactured probably in the 1940s. On your left is a brand new manufacturer $10 bearing from Timken. Okay, that's roughly the same dimensions, just a different precision specification. Now watch this. The $10 bearing shields work perfectly in the old bearing. Okay, so what we're going to be doing is we have our bearing. We have our dust shields. what we're going to be doing is we are going to be packing, I don't know if I can see that, this is a bearing grease that is specifically for machine tool bearings, non-automotive. Not sure what's different about it. I think there's like no lithium or whatever. But anyway, this is specifically for machine tool bearings. And I got a ton of it because they would only sell it by the case. Needed one tube. So, I've officially run out of enthusiasm for cleaning. It's time to get this thing back together. Okay, in the spirit of it's not original, I can do what I want to do, I'm actually missing a bunch of pieces on this thing. This piece of 1/4-inch flat bar, for instance, on the tailstock is actually taking the place of what is supposed to be an entire iron casting that goes on the bottom here. Now this works, but it's not ideal. And again, this is how I got it. So this has been this way for decades and decades. No idea where the original casting went. Probably got broken. In that vein, it's also missing the carriage lock. So I've got some flat bar here. I'm going to have to go ahead and make a new shoe, if you will, so that the yeah. What I'm doing right now, there's a hole. Let's see if I can demonstrate this. Okay, say the carriage is up here. There's a tool post right here. This screw, this bolt, goes down into a little channel here, and you tighten or loosen it, and if you tighten it, it stops this from moving sideways. Well, the shoe that you tighten this into that clamps down is just missing. So I'm going to make a new one. Okay, next up, we're going to go ahead and we're going to put on our quick change tool post. The way it works is it just sort of sits here like this. Then you have this as your tightening thing, your handle, which goes over here actually, but anyway, and it rotates. You've got a tool cutter hanging right here and it hits the work. Now, to put this on, it's as easy as taking this block with this threaded hole, tightens down onto that bolt, okay? And you literally just sort of stick it in here and okay, so we're on to the next step in this process. Also known as using a friend's milling machine because I don't have one. Okay, let's try this again. Ta-da! As you can see, for the most part, everything's different. I didn't do a lot of improvements at this stage of the game. I just cleaned it up, got it working, now it's back together. Now, there are a couple of things. You might notice a different color paint here. This is a replacement part because the old one was broken and brazed together and wobbled and it was annoying. There's a couple of new parts in here. The split nuts were completely worn out. So I tracked some down from eBay. There, instead of the original belt type, there's now an endless belt here from the automotive world. And that's about it. Otherwise, it's just been cleaned up. The laser's gone. that'll be making a reappearance down the line. And now we just have a bunch of tooling. Up here we've got our quick change for our Loris type tool post, which I was not about to use this thing without that. I've got a bunch of Morse Taper 2 drills. I've got a whole bunch of carbide insert. I've got indicators, die holders, tap handles, steady rests ×2. I've got the drill chucks, the partridge, the pear tree, all of it. We got it. So, and we even got one more thing. This is an aluminum ingot. I poured it a couple of years ago in anticipation of exactly this moment, when I would have a lathe to free it from this soup can. And that's what we're going to do right now. Okay, so I am going to call this big pile of chips behind me an absolute success. And they're all over the floor. Okay, so here's the deal. There's what's left of the can. Here's what's left of the ingot. Now, I did not realize this, but that thing is actually... Wow, that pour did not go very well. It's almost hollow on the inside. I'm not sure how deep. I'd have to, finish cutting it out. But, yeah. That's an aluminum paperweight. And it even has chamfers, because chamfers are what separate us from the animals. So, hope you enjoyed this. God bless. We'll see you in the next one. Ciao.